So we have parts. So the goodies for the car. These are all the bits that we need to get the car back running. So I went down to Burton's because I didn't want to wait till the end of the week for it to all come. So let's just run you through everything we've got. So obviously we'll start off with the cam. This is the Newman cam that we've went for. This is the chill blanks one. This is their highest spec cam for the CVH, and it's done over 300 horsepower. I think it's done 320, 330 horsepower on one engine at 30 psi. So we have a sump gasket because the sump's going to be coming off. There's no way I'm leaving that sump on. Going to clean it out, make sure none of that swarf is in that sump, so it can't damage anything inside the engine. Don't want to damage that crank up. Cometic throttle body gasket. This is for the Cosworth throttle body. This is a proper gasket. It's got metal inside it. You can see it there. So yeah, went for that one. It's got some stickers. These are the followers we went for. So these are the Newman mechanical cam followers. They're going to be set up all properly to the cam specs. Got the catalogue, just in case you need any more bits. What else we've got? Oh yeah, that's the rocker cover gasket. Went for the cork one, but I want a rubber one. They didn't have any rubber ones in stock, so I just went for 2 of them because I know it's going to leak at some point. For some reason it absorbs the oil rather than doing what it's supposed to do. Got some assembly lube, so that we can run the cam in properly. Lube up the lobes on the cam. This is the blanking plug where the distributor goes on the MFI cars, but the EFR cars are blanked like that, so you have to replace them. We have some rocker nuts, brand new ones, so we can torque them down to spec. They're always round off otherwise. Oh yeah, camshaft oil seal, because that one was leaking, so we went for a nice fresh one. So let's unbox this cam, unbox the mechanical followers so I can show you the difference between the hydraulic ones and the mechanical ones. Let's start off by opening these mechanical followers, show you the difference. These are the hydraulic ones, and I'm going to show you the difference between the mechanical ones for people that don't know. So I've opened one of these packets already, so it's a bit quicker to see. So this is the difference between mechanical and a hydraulic follower. So you can see they're massively different. This is the body, this is the adjustable part, and you can see you can adjust the height and the clearance to the cam lobe. In the cam it will have the specs. Basically it's just a bolt with a nut on and a machine cylinder. So I'm going to take these apart and strip them down, because I don't know if you can see in there, just about, you can see there's like all machining oil and grit and dirt. Never put these into your car without stripping them down. Otherwise, all that stuff's just going to get into your oil, into your engine. It's going to have problems there. So we're going to strip all these down, but I just wanted to show you first the difference between the two. So you can see there's a massive difference. So this is the camshaft we went for. They only do one higher spec than this, and it's for the ZVH, which is obviously 2 litre. So that's no good for 1600s. But this cam will rev easy to 7k now with the solid lifters. So get this opened. I'll show you this. Everyone loves unboxing car parts, so just gonna have to quickly give this a swipe. So I'm really looking forward to getting this new cam in there. It's going to make a world of difference to the car. The car felt really flat, really couldn't get to the bottom of that misfire, and now we have this such a relief to be able to find the problem. I'm not one of these people that get despondent about having problems. I'm more like, I want to sort them out, I want to fix them so the car can run to its maximum potential. So let's have a look at this. Nice shiny new camshaft. So that's how the lobes are supposed to look. So this camshaft's going to be absolutely mint when it's in the car. I'll try and get the sheet up with the specs on it so I can show you exactly the lift that the lobes have got. And I'm just going to sit this side by side now with the flat loaded camshaft from the Kent, the one that's made out of cheese. Let's grab that one. So this is, you buy these in Tesco's in the cheese aisle, and they made it into a camshaft. So this is the lobe. Look at the difference between the lift on a proper lobe. You can see this one, non-existent. Look at the state of that. So that's how much lift that we was losing. I'm surprised it even idled as well as it did. It really actually idled and drove off boost okay. It just wouldn't rev past 5,000 RPM. So yeah, it just seemed like it was an ignition related problem, but after all the trying, it turned out to be mechanical. But it's sorted now, so we're going to get this and running mint again. I can't wait to put some boost through that engine. So let's get on with this. No time to spare, so let's get the camshaft in. So I've just dropped the oil out. I should have really put it in that container because it's a bit cleaner. But I'm going to drop the sump off now. You can see on the RS's, it's not a simple case of just dropping the sump down like it would be on a Z-let. So we've got to remove this start motor, got to remove the downpipe as well, and a few other little bits. While the sump's off, can't leave it like that, can we? So we're going to clean that up. Obviously, make sure there's no metal filings inside. Going to clean that up, wire brush it, paint it properly so it's nice looking as well, because it looks a bit cruddy at the minute. So let's get it off. So while the sump's off, I thought it'd be a perfect opportunity to show you a few of the bits that are in this engine you haven't seen because you didn't see the engine getting built. But you can see that it's got the steel rods. These are a Williams H-beam rod. And then if you look up there, let's try and get a torch up there and get a focus on. Let's have a look. You've got the Acrylite pistons. You can just about see the ACC Acrylite pistons. So they're a billet forged piston. Same company that make Amiga pistons, and we've run the Amiga pistons on the Z20 lets to 600 brake, and I know they've been performing even higher than that in some other engines. So yeah, they're very strong, and it's a low compression engine as well, so we can put a load of boost into it and not have a risk of debt. The bearings are all Marla Motorsport. So Sump's just had a proper clean up. We got lucky by the looks of it because there was absolutely no chunks, no bearing material, nothing in the Sump. It looks like the cam had broken down over time into finer pieces, and the oil filter had done its job. This car gets regular oil changes, so that's probably the reason. So I've just cleaned up the outside as well, give it a proper jet wash down. So I'm going to wire brush all this up and put some proper paint over it just to give it a bit of a better look. Not needed, but just go that little bit extra. So I just went over the Sump with a wire brush, got rid of all the crud that was on it. Back to proper metal now. I wanted to keep the original Ford one just because it fits a lot better. You can see it's had a couple of speed hump scuffs, but it's absolutely perfect. It seals really nice. You can see it's a Ford item. You can get the replica ones for about 80 quid, but they don't seal properly. So let's get some paint on this. So the first thing I'm going to do is clean up these solid lifters. I'm going to start disassembling them and taking them apart because of the nasty stuff that's inside them. Don't ever put these onto your car until you've stripped them down first. So yeah, you want to get these in a pot with some brake cleaner, get rid of all that nasty stuff that's in there. It's like an engineering grease and that they tap these holes out with. They should really clean them out from the factory, but they obviously don't. So never put these on without stripping them down first. Right, so I've stripped all these down and give them a proper clean out. It's like you can see it on my finger. That's all the crap that was coming out of it. It wasn't no grit or anything. It was just like a grease. You can see it's all cleaned out now, spotless inside, and that's how they should be. So that's it painted. I think I'll give it 3 coats of gloss black, so that looks a lot better than it did. Just going to leave that to dry now. It's a lovely sunny day, lovely and warm out, so it's going to be like that for the next couple of weeks. So let that dry. Right, let's get this camshaft in. I've just went over the head with a bit of brake cleaner and a cloth, and you see how nice it comes up. It's because we had the head aqua blasted when we rebuilt it. As I say, it's only been about 1,000 miles since it was built. So when you're rebuilding your cars or your engines, just get the aluminium parts aqua blasted. It takes off all the surface corrosion, takes it back to nice new anti-oxidized aluminium. You can see how fresh it comes up. Just a bit of brake cleaner and a cloth. So what I've just done is I've gone over the whole camshaft. In all these holes, I've sprayed brake cleaner in, wiped down the camshaft to make sure there's no machining grit or anything left on the cam. I've also blown out the airways, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to prepare the cam with a load of assembly lube. So make sure you properly lube up all these lobes, because when you put this into the car, you don't want it running dry for the first couple of seconds. That's the camshaft all lubed up. Don't worry about putting too much on. Make sure you've put it on liberally so it's nice and thick. It's like a sticky glue. It stays on so that it doesn't drip off when you put it in the engine. The first couple of seconds are the most important when you're starting up a fresh cam or crank or engine. So you want it properly lubed up till the oil pressure gets up. So let's get this camshaft in. There you go, camshafts in. See the lovely lubed up camshaft in there. Make sure you put your thrust collar back in. Otherwise your camshaft's going to destroy itself really quick. And now we can put the blanking plate in, start getting it back together. So I've just put the camshaft oil seal in. Nice new one of them. Put the blanking plate as well on the back of the head where the distributor normally goes. I'm going to time the car up now. We obviously have a Kent vernier pulley and there's no timing marks on these, on the CVHs. I don't know why they didn't just put one in. So what you have to do is you have to time it up with the stock cam pulley. You can see it's like roughly 180 degrees from the woodruff key, but to just be perfect, I like to line it up perfectly, take it off, and then I can put on this one and I know the cam's timed up perfect. So the fun part about timing these engines up is you've got to time up the old school way, because you can't get to the top dead center mark on the crank because of all this Cosworth management stuff. So you have to put something down the #1 plug to get it out to TDC, keep rocking it up backwards and forwards so you get it perfect TDC, which obviously times the engine up better anyway than a timing mark. And then you've got to time up this trigger ring. So I have already timed it up, but you can see when you leave this bolt loose, you can slide this backwards and forwards, and this trigger ring has to be set up 36 degrees before top dead center, which works out to 3.5 teeth. So I'm going to set that up now so it's perfect. And then for the crank sensor one, you can see down there, that's a CVH sensor. At TDC, you can see that ring has to be perfectly underneath the sensor. And it's been gapped already, I don't need to re-gap it, just need to re-gap this top one. Right, so it's time to get these mechanical lifters in. First off, I needed to go and print out the spec sheet because Newman didn't bother including them in their box of cam or in the lifters. For instance, if you look, these are the spec sheet for the cat cams. They give us everything we need to know, full lift at TDC, so I can time up the camshaft properly. So I've had to go onto Burton's website, and it's got the valve clearance for the inlet and exhaust, and now I can time up the cam at top dead center. So let's get there in. So for anyone that's done this job in the past, you'll know how much of a mission this job is. It's going to take a good while to do. Make sure everything's lubed when you do it. This has to be torqued down to the same spec every time, so set your torque wrench up and don't change the torque. It's from 19 to 20 foot-pounds. Torque it up, then the lifter has to be untorqued, brung back out, locked up in a special tool. You've got to keep checking the gap, adjusting it, loads of adjustments. So lucky there's only 8, not 16 like a 16 valve engine, but you'd normally do that for shims. So I'm going to have to work through one at a time. You obviously turn the cam so it's at dwell stage before you do it. So that's 2 down, another 6 to go. For anyone that's not mechanically minded and want to know what I'm actually doing, there's a gap between the valve and the rocker, which is tiny, microscopic, but basically it's allowing for expansion of the valve. The exhaust valve gap is slightly bigger because the exhaust valve will get hotter and expand a slight bit more than the inlet side, so that's why they're different on the inlet and exhaust side. Because if the expansion of the valve took up the whole of the clearance between the rocker arm, then the valve will be sitting open and won't close properly during a combustion stroke and you lose power. So here's a clearer example of why you can't adjust these when they're in the engine. You can see the locking nut is below the casting of the head, so they have to keep being taken out, adjusted, put it back in, measuring, taken out, adjusted, measuring. That's why it takes so long. Well, that took a while, but we've got them all bang on spec now, absolutely perfect. Really happy with how they come out. So yeah, just gonna, you can see them in there, lovely. So just gonna show you, you can see them moving up and down, opening the valves properly. Now we're gonna have great valve control. Be able to run high revs now without the dreaded CVH rattle. And these are now fit and forget. I'm going to adjust them, well, see if they need adjusting after 1,000 miles or so. Give them a check over, but normally they're in spec still. So let's get the cam cover on. So you can see here I've got a lot of the top end complete, all the boost hoses, air filter, coil pack, crossover, throttle body, because the throttle body's on, the cable's all on, ignition leads, plugs are all in, so the top end's nearly complete. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to put the sump on. I'm also going to first take off this pickup pipe, because it's a paper gasket on these pickup pipes, and it's a no-brainer while the sump's off and the oil's out. See it there. I'm going to take it off and clean it out, make sure it's all free. If you ever get a breakdown of that gasket, it's going to suck air and it will just give you low oil pressure. So while it's off, might as well change the gasket. So a word of warning when it comes to fitting these sump gaskets, they are the worst gaskets that you could ever fit. They want to leak constantly. They've got no metal inside them, and they've got again steel to steel. The best way that I've found to do them is to stick them to the actual block with sealant, because there's guides up in the block. I'll show you quickly. So you can see up in the block around here, this is the section here that they always want to leak. The flat section's not so bad, and then there's another section up this end. It's exactly the same there. So the best thing to do is, I hate using sealant, but you're going to have to use some sealant around here to glue it to the block, leave it for an hour to go hard, and then put the sump on, and even then hope for the best. So this is one for all the Ford boys that hated on me for taking the RS out in the snow. Look, I can join your club now. I've got a genuine Ford oil filter. So just in case you don't know what an oil pickup pipe is, this is basically it. This is what your oil pump's attached to, and this is what your oil pump sucks through. So if you get any gunk that gets filled up in this strainer, this is like a pre-filter for the oil pump, and then it goes into the actual filter. So if that gets clogged up with sealant, using too much sealant on the sump, you have no oil pressure. These are the gaskets that they use on the CVHs. They're very thin, so if you ever get one of them blow out, it just sucks air between here, won't suck any oil in, and that's why you lose oil pressure. So it's well worth changing them. Also got some stainless bolts just to replace these nasty ones. They're a little bit longer as well, so you can torque them up better. Going to stick washers on them. Just these ones won't corrode. You see these ones, they were new, but they just they go rusty. Right, so sump's on, starter motor's on, put the down pipe on. I've went over all the sump bolts to 8 Newton meters. Right, so let's get this thing started. We've got the Vauxhall helping out the fold with the battery situation. I've just turned the car over for about 30 seconds, got oil pressure up. I've just put the ECU in. Now we have fuel pressure as well. I've just checked we've got spark, so the car's going to start up and run straight away. Also what I've done is I've opened up the throttle with the cable so that it's going to idle nice and high. Don't try to start these cars up unless your car is going to start and run and idle, get oil pressure, and be able to rev at about 3,000 RPM, 4,000 RPM for at least 10 minutes, 20 minutes. The cam that I've just put in there is a chilled iron blank cam and nitrided lifters. So the actual cam itself is hard already. Unlike the Kent cams that you have to heat harden them first. So let's get this car started up and running and get that cam running. So the car's now idling at about 3,500 RPM. You can see it's not missing a beat. It sounds amazing, so much better than it did before, but it's all rattly. I'll show you a bit of exhaust note. Cold start still, so it's a little bit fuely, a bit rich. You can see how nice that sounds. So I'm going to let that run for about 10-15 minutes now, and then I'll drop down the idle to idle, and then I'll be able to get a better video for you. Not even missing a beat. Right, she's down to idle now. Now I'll just give it a little rev, and the responsiveness of the engine is totally transformed. It's sounding absolutely amazing. So yeah, I'll give it a quick rev. How quick that revs now. So going to let it run with this oil in it for a little while to just run the cam in. Then we're going to drop it out and we're going to put the usual motorsport oil that we fit into all the engines. Can't get over how good she sounds now, how she picks up so quick. I didn't want to get some videos today going out in the daytime, but there's no way I'm going to be able to do it. Not got time. I've got too much to do, so it's probably going to be the weekend now. So obviously I'll end this video out. I cannot believe how well that this car revs now with them solids in. It actually revs like a 16 valve engine. I can't wait to test it out on the road and get some boost through this engine now. I know that the video and the camera picks up any little noise around because it's got a good microphone on it, but trust me, in person the engine's almost silent. Whenever you put a camera or a phone next to an engine, you're going to hear any sort of rattle or squealing, but in person the actual engine is very, very quiet. One recommendation, if you're running hydraulics in your CVH, definitely change over to that cam and lifter setup. I can't wait to take the car out for a drive, but you can just hear the difference that when you get oil pressure into the engine as you're revving it, with the hydraulics they lose valve control, they sound rattly, the engine sounds terrible, but now it sounds silky smooth. As you're revving it, it sounds even quieter than it does on idle.